started off Neolife on a part-time basis when he was working in the hotel industry. I was introduced to Neolife by a pastor from South Africa. He told me, friend, there's something you can do part-time which can give you an extra income. I didn't join because of health. I joined because I wanted money. So I started doing it on a part-time basis. I found that it was giving me more money than my job. So I quit employment to do this on a full-time basis. And life has been good with Neolife. I can tell you, if it's the money, if it is the travel, if it is the health, you will get it in Neolife. I remember when I joined Neolife, my parents both had conditions. My dad had ulcers, my mom had pressure. Those conditions were sorted out in Neolife. So today, we are going to get into health on a serious note, and we have a very special guest speaker who is coming to talk to us. This is a lady who has been in Neolife for quite some time. She's one of our expert trainers. I think she's ranked amongst the top trainers we have in Neolife. So you're pretty lucky to have her talking to you today. So wherever you are, make sure you have a pen and paper somewhere to write. You don't want to miss anything. Hata akikohoa unaandika coughed. Because what she's going to share with you is something major, something that will actually be able to change your life forever. And if you have somebody that you know needs this kind of info, make sure you get them on the call as soon and as fast as possible. Send them a link, tell them there's a solution. There's somebody who's discussing a solution for you. After we finish the session will be available on YouTube. So you will be able to actually send them the clip so that they can be able to see for themselves how they can also benefit from the products of Neolife and how, more importantly, how their lives can change. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Gladys Jura. Gladys Jura is a lady that is very successful in Neolife. We have traveled with her all over. I think we've been with her to South Africa, UK, and several places. Of course, with Neolife. And I can tell you, if you're here and you're a guest and you want to know how to travel for free, not paying, traveling for free and having better health, then you're at the right time, at the right place with the right group of people. So I'm going to hand it over to Gladys. Remember, we'll be having a session of question and answer at the end, so where you'll put your questions on the chat. Then we'll be able to answer you in case of any burning questions. But right now, I want to introduce Gladys Jura, who is going to take us through the session. Gladys.
Wow, thank you so much, so much, Fred, for this and also for always organizing this every Sunday. We learn a lot. And this is how our mission as Neolife family are able to fulfill our mission statement, making the world a healthier and a happier place. So, as you've heard, my name is Gladys Jura. I'm very excited. I'm a business builder, and I always say, I thank God I stumbled into this wellness industry. By training, I'm a teacher. I've also been a banker for some years. I actually met this opportunity when I was working in the bank, and I had been looking for something extra to do. And somebody invited me to a meeting, but our conversation was purely about making money. But along the way, I actually realized she brought me to an institution that is big on health and wellness, actually the oldest and very strong institution on health and wellness, more specifically preventive health. And that's how I got myself involved. And I remember my second meeting, attending a meeting where Dorothy Nyong'o gave a presentation about health and wellness. I was a very ignorant mother. And in the process, I actually realized as a mother, I was doing very many wrong things. I was bringing up my children with burgers, chips, crazy things. And I actually realized I needed to change. And I had what we call an aha moment there. And I made a decision to do the right thing. And I'll forever be grateful to the person who invited me to look at the opportunity, and as well as the company itself and the mentors that have been there for me. So I'll go straight away to our topic today. Today we are talking about men and women health. And this is a very relevant topic because we are all men and women here. Each one of us here is a man or a woman. And that makes that species very unique. And the thing is, if you don't take care of your health, the question is, who will? You know, I've seen people, unfortunately, all over the world, going to school, becoming serious engineers, serious lawyers, serious teachers, serious business builders, but along the way, they forget to take care of their health. And all that energy we put into looking for money, into looking for worldly things, taking care of our children, we end up losing that part of that money to taking care of our health on areas we would have actually prevented. So we are here to say that prevention is better than cure. And that includes the topic today of men and women health. So as you can see there on my screen, the greatest wealth you will ever have is your health. That begins there. While we are here on earth, we need really to take care of our health. And another statement I always tell people, your health is your prerogative. It is a prerogative. So we are looking at many issues. They'll be broad, of course. We'll also be looking at the reproductive system because that was specific to men and women. And so at the end of the day, we'll be looking at infertility. We'll be looking at, not all of us have that problem. We'll be looking at the diseases that affect men and women. And the most funny thing, even about something as simple, we think it's simple as infertility. The data are showing that 10 couples, out of every 10 couples, 2 are suffering from infertility and other complications that may not necessarily be infertility, where you find somebody is always getting miscarriages and they really can't understand why. Or where women are having growths like cysts and fibroids that actually affect your fullness as a man or a woman, where men are having their own challenges of premature ejaculation. Let me use the word as raw as it is. And we think it is something very simple, something that shouldn't be talked about, but it's something that really messes people. Psychologically, it affects you and the person around you. So we are being told that there's a lot of those challenges that is happening even in the hospitals, issues of children, where we are having a whole 30%, as we've seen, of those factors affecting us. And some of them are unexplained. Yeah. So, I love you, that's okay. That's okay. Please, can we stay muted? Kindly, can we have Fred, you're going to help.
Who is that? Who is that making that noise?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Fred, please, can you help me mute anyone who needs to be muted? Because I can't continue with that.
Okay, Gladys, I will sort it out.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have quite a number of people. Let me first mute them. Let me do this first.
Sorry, Gladys, you're okay now. Just proceed. I've muted everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. And we can continue. So we are saying that we need to understand things that are specific to, you need to understand about ovulation, fertilization needs, what happens so that couples can get a healthy pregnancy. Sometimes pregnancy may be unhealthy, and that even can affect a child later in life. And some of it as things that we can actually take care of right now by understanding even about our eating habits and a few other key things that we need to understand. And that's the reason we are here. So we are saying, when it comes to women, one of the reasons that women go through so many challenges is about ovulation disorders. There are so many young girls who are having challenges, even during what we call their, what can I say? During their menses, they start seeing symptoms where everything is not okay and they assume. You have women having irregular menses or too heavy menses or no menses at all. And somebody thinks that that is normal, and that should not be the case. Some of those underlying causes could be eating disorders. We are going to look at our eating habits. Sometimes it could be too much exercise. We are over-exercising, it can affect that. Or sometimes it could be the issue of the thyroid. You know, the thyroid gland really affects hormones, and that can also affect the issues that women go through. So that is one of the things we need to think about. The other thing we need to think about is uterine and cervical abnormalities. You know, there are those abnormalities that are there in our uterus as a woman. I'll be getting to the men much later. That could be malignant cancers, or it could be benign tumors. Benign tumors are those tumors that are not cancerous, but in themselves, they actually affect women and they cause infertility. They could be blocking the fallopian tubes or stopping the egg from being fertilized, or the fertilized egg from implanting itself, you know, into the uteri, the walls where it should be in the uterus. So some of these abnormalities are really affecting women, and we need to understand them as it is. Then we are seeing other things like damages or blockages, as I had mentioned earlier. That could be a result of pelvic inflammation. The most disastrous thing in the world today is that we are having a lot of inflammation within our bodies without knowing. And we all need to know we have capacity to have inflammation. And sometimes inflammation can come because of our eating habits. Sometimes it could come because of STIs, where you find that you had an STI and it stayed for a long time without being treated, and eventually it affects your fertility. So those are some of the things we need to be very careful about, talk to our girls and boys about, so that should they find themselves in that situation, it is sorted out early enough that it doesn't bring a lot of heartache later in life. We have this story where people say they have endometriosis, which occurs in the endometriosis tissues, that those tissues, they grow outside the uterus. And that in itself can be a problem, and it will affect the functions of the ovaries, the uterus, and all those things are needed to have a healthy fertility happening. So those blockages, those interferences, those growths, they happen. And many a times we need to know that our lifestyle contributes a big part into that. The other thing is in early menopause. You find some people get early menopause before they are even 40. They start having challenges. And that could be associated with even autoimmune diseases that affect us, like the ones that are called Turner syndromes. And things like radiation could be things that could affect us, you know. And so those are some of the issues we need to understand. And anytime you have infections, any sort of infection, it needs to be taken care of very, very early, whether it is through maybe surgery. The doctors know best how they handle that. And other treatments like cancer treatments could also be a challenge. Certain cancers can affect the fertility of either, more specifically the women. And so we need to be of that view, understanding that. Other thing could be men, where you find a man's low sperm count is very low, or the movement of the sperms is interfered with. They should not, you know, they're supposed to be as fast as possible for them to be able to hit the wall of the ova, so that there can be fertilization happening. Some of those things could be due to injury and damage. So even as our children play, we need to be careful that they are not playing games that can injure them or affect them, and even overexposure of certain things like pesticides and chemicals. The things we ignore. Smoking, we are told smoking is not good, alcohol is not good, taking steroids, and those bacteria infections we are talking about. The minute you realize you have any sort of infection, it needs to be arrested as fast as possible, not to mention things like high blood pressure and things like depression. They can affect the fertility and even the effect of sperm production, or even taking too heavy baths and saunas can raise temperatures that may affect that. So we need to be wary of those things. As we grow, as we have our children coming up, those are things we need to look at. And on the side of men as well, let's not assume. Many times in the African context, we want to blame the woman alone, but it is something that can affect either of the sexes. And that is why it's important to have men and women open to this topic, so that it is something that can help them should a challenge come. So when we are talking of those risks, we have age, you know, where especially after 30, women have their challenges of their fertility starts declining. In fact, we are normally told if a woman doesn't have a child, gets a child when they are over 40 years, they need to be extremely careful about it. And even men, at the end of the day, as they age, their fertility may go down. Their what can I say? Their libido and their energy goes down, and it affects them to a level where they want to use enhancers like the ones we hear about. We've talked about tobacco use and taking alcohol. Being overweight can be a problem. I remember going through this situation with a lady who was not getting children, and she went to a doctor, and the doctor just told her, go and cut weight. She came to me, told me, I've heard you have good products. She went into a weight loss program, and in the process of going through the weight loss program, she actually got pregnant, and that was amazing. Being underweight is also another thing. It is very bad to be underweight, whether for men or women. It's very risky to be anorexic or bulimia and having restrictive diet, because you are lacking a lot of vitamins and minerals that your body needs for you to say you are a whole woman and to maintain those diseases that affect us. And we've said that also we should not lack exercise, but we also should not over exercise. That is not good enough. Women, when you have irregular periods, don't say I'm lucky. Through this month, I'm not going through the menstrual flow. Let's not have that mentality. It's important for you to have regular periods. When they are too heavy or painful, that's something that is telling you not everything is well. And so that's something we need to take care, even for our children as early as they are teens. We need to understand what they are going through. Let's not ignore for them to go through those motions on their own. Want to understand when they have the cramps, know there's something wrong. When the periods are too heavy, there's something wrong. When they are skipping their periods, something is not right. Or when they lose them, that one, or even mood fluctuations, where you find they're having a lot of breakouts, where if you're already in the procreation stage and you have reduced sex drive. If you're a woman, maybe even you have facial hair growth, it means there's a problem with your hormones, thinning of the hair. That could also be a problem, or weight gain. We need to look at that. And issues to do with when challenges during sexual matters. For men, it is changes in sexual desire, where you find it could also be an initial and a hormonal issue that is indicating there could be a challenge there. And pains and swellings. When there's a swelling, there's pain. It should not be ignored. Something that needs to be looked at immediately, or even problems with maintaining an erection. It's something that really needs to be looked at. And all the other things you can see there on the screen. And more importantly, poor diet. That is a very serious contributing factor, where people are eating diets with a lot of fats, less whole grains, no vegetables. There's no variety of a lot of fruits and vegetables, and that could be a problem. And also the issue of, we said alcohol, caffeine, too much sugar, that's a problem. So what we need to do is make sure that we look at those factors. You can take a screenshot of that if you're using your phone, or if you have a laptop, you can take a photo of that for the things that we should not do, the things we need to prevent, so that, and we are not just talking about infertility. We are talking about even the diseases that affect us, like the cancers that are specific to women, the cancers that are specific to men. Those are things that we need to really look around. We've looked at all those factors in a nutshell. Then what should we do? One of the things we need to do is make sure that we are having a healthy lifestyle. We are having a good diet. But statistics are saying 95% of the population, they are eating foods that lack nutrition. Are we exercising? As human beings, we are supposed to exercise 15 to 20 minutes per day. If you're not so good in exercising, at least walk. Make sure you walk briskly. At least every day you're doing your 15 to 20 minutes. Don't lead a sedentary life. Enough sleep, 6 to 8 hours. Sleep is very important because your body needs to repair, it needs to recover, and it needs to adjust to the following day's hard work. We need a lot of water. On the minimum, everybody needs at least 2 liters. Men need much more. Their bodies are larger, they perspire more, they exert more energy in the activities that they do. But everybody, at least on the minimum, including our children, they need to take enough water. Then we need to enjoy sunlight, very important, because vitamin D is a hormone vitamin. And D vitamin is very good for keeping away the cancers that are specific to men and women. If you read a lot about vitamin D, is one of the precursors when it comes to things like cancer. So it's very, and even the immunity, we are being told it's very important for immunity, and we need to breathe. You remember when we were in school, we used to be told, breathe in, breathe out. So even if you're in the house, when you wake up, have breathing exercises. We need our body oxygenated all over to the body, and we avoid places where there's smoking. You know, the smoking zones and all that. Another thing is make sure that we are within our correct body mass index. Remember we said we should not be underweight and we should not even be overweight, not to mention obesity and morbid obesity. We need to learn to maintain our BMI, and you just learn to calculate your BMI. There are machines that can tell you whether you are within your 18.5 to 24.9. So please make sure we are working on that. If you are overweight, it is okay. Don't condemn yourself too much. Just keep working on it and making sure that every month that goes, you're cutting half a kilo, 2. Just make it a habit. You do it gradually. And if you're here on this call and you have an issue of being overweight, talk to the person who invited you. They'll take you through our weight program and you can be able to work on it. The other thing is diet. When you look at that bread, one is wholemeal, the other one is processed. And that goes for all the grains that we eat. The question is, are you eating refined or you're eating whole? Because eating is not enough. Diet is what you put in your body, but that's not enough. What is enough is, are you eating processed or refined foods, or you're eating whole grains? So we are being told that ideally, we are supposed to eat a diet full of a lot of whole grains. As much as we can, when you're reading the labels, make sure it reads whole. And then as much as you can, do a lot of fruits and vegetables, different colors, purple, green, yellow, orange, whatever color it is you can get hold of. And more specifically for this particular topic, the cruciferous type of fruits and vegetables. They actually crucify unwanted things in the body. They correct very many hormonal challenges. So that is one of the key things you need to know, because many of us are ignoring the cruciferous type of fruits and vegetables, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the turnips, the kales. They really help us. Then we need to make sure that whatever we are eating is a lot of whole plant proteins, the ones that come from the soil, and we minimize the animal proteins, but we do more of the white meat, which is organically grown, and reduce the other animal meat. Eat it moderately. And if you're having a problem, sometimes you can take a break. You can decide, I'll take 2 to 3 months. I'll not do the other animal protein for my body to readjust, for my body to heal itself, because it makes the body acidic. And an acidic environment is an environment for disease and the challenges we are talking about, including the hormones. And then, of course, anything that has fats and sugars should be very little, very, very little. But you see, the problem with the modern diet is we have an addiction. Many people are addicted to sugars, and you may not know that. And an addiction to sugar is very bad. It could be drinks. It could be you sit down and you are shaking. You want sugar in your body. So you want a mandazi, you want a cake, you want sweets. That is an indication you're getting an addiction. And that is happening with our children early a lot. And as parents, we need to be very careful, very, very careful. So we've inverted this pyramid upside down where we have a lot of refined starch. And if we were to write a list, the list would go a page and another and another. That's how bad things are. And a lot of animal protein, as we saw there. So there's a gap here. And that is a gap we came to sort right now. I came into this opportunity, I saw this, and I had to be real with myself as a young mother. I was failing. No wonder my kids had a lot of infections. We had chest issues, we had tonsillitis, we had a lot of infections. And once I understood this, I realized there was a gap. I was game. I needed to know the solution. And that is the solution we are giving you today. We are in the world where we have to supplement our diet. Why? Sometimes the farmers will not give us the fullness of what we need in our foods. If they are using fertilizer from January to December, there's a gap there. If the transportation of food is from one area to another, the food loses its nutrition. If the cooking methods are affected, sometimes we overcook some of the foods, so we preserve them in the wrong way. There's going to be depreciation of vitamins right there, okay? And then the overcooking and all those kind of things. So we have a big challenge, not to mention the toxins we are taking in our body through preservatives, additives, colors. When you eat a purple cake, where did that purple color come from? From the factory. That's the fact. When you give your child a drink that is having a funny color, where did that color come from? It comes from chemicals in the supermarket. So we also overburden our body with a lot of chemicals. So Neolife came up as an organization out of a research done for 12 years between 1946 and 1958. And Jerry Brausfield founded the company, and he decided he's going to do this for life. And he's been doing it for the last 63 years. And I would like you, if you're a guest, to understand that information for yourself. Because we are not in a business of just sugarcoating things. We would want you to get the information for yourself. You can go to the Neolife and go to YouTube and get from the farm to the table. How right from the farm to what you get at the table is whole meal, organically derived, to build that gap, bridge the gap that we can see there. We have a scientific advisory board. You can go to the Neolife University, specifically get to the scientific advisory board and know the credentials of these people, starting with Dr. Ada Fast, who is a Nobel Prize winner, and the guy who discovered oral chemotherapy in the world, and the father of toxicology, trying to understand what toxins can actually do to us, you know? And he manufactured a product called Betagard that everybody needs to take at least once a year. We need to detoxify our bodies. So the next thing is that we are assuring you that this is a heritage of excellence from 1958 to 2021. The company is checked by other world organizations. Don't think it's just there. We are checked in a very big way by the United States Department of Agriculture, CDC, WHO. And out of that, kumulikwa by those organizations, we have a few world firsts that no other company has, and a few patents to ourselves. So you need to know that. So one of the solutions are the most important thing for everybody on this call. If you don't understand anything, please go to YouTube and get to know what ProVitality is all about. With ProVitality as the core to bridge this gap to begin with as a base, we have what we call the 3NN. 3NN will rectify where we lacked the whole grains, because that oil of the whole grain is very critical for repairing our cell membrane. Then we have healthy cells in the body, and our hormones are part of that. So it's very critical to make sure. For the children, we have the Vita Squares. Then we have carotenoid complex. If you read the history and story about carotenoids, you'll understand they are the best immune boosters. Even at a time like now, when we are talking about COVID, it's a serious matter, and we only realize it's serious when it hits the door near somebody you know. So it's very important. We have Vita Squares, VitaGuard for our children there. We have omega-3, very important for this topic because of inflammation. Every human being needs 3 servings of omega-3 essential fatty acids every week. So you need to understand the place of omega-3. They are called EFAs, and what they can do for us, and then a blend of a multivitamin. Remember, even when we were young and we went to school, you find that the pediatricians would give us a multivitamin for our children. So we have what we call the ProVitality as a solution for us. It's a base for everyone. And if you cannot afford there to start with the ProVitality, you can start out with the 3NN on itself, but that is a good place to begin with, the ProVitality. For our children, I said we have the Vita Squares. Once we nourish our body at the cellular level, and we have it optimized in immunity and everything, then we need to go to specifics. And I need to be very fast on this. Specifics for men health and women health. Wheat germ oil, what does wheat germ oil do? This is a very important source of what we call the vitamin E complex. Vitamin E is a water-soluble vitamin that has quite a number of the tocopherols and everything there, about 8 families, and it is very important for fertility. It's actually called the fertility vitamin. So vitamin E is very important for both men and women. And where men have challenges, especially if they have high blood pressure or they have sugar issues and they have a problem with their vitality, vitamin E is very good because it helps even in the circulation, good circulation of blood. Then of course we have omega-3, we talked about inflammation. There's nothing as bad as having inflammation in our body. Did you know inflammation is one of the causes of the cancers we have? Yesterday I was going through a video where some doctors last year wanted to understand how omega-3 can play a big role in COVID, because COVID especially kills because of the inflammation in the body. So omega-3 is important for everyone, even at a time like now when we have COVID, and it's available for both children and for the grown-ups. Then we have something we call CoQ10. Please go and read more about coenzyme factor, Q10. CoQ10 has a lot of benefits, starting from giving the body cellular energy, right from something we call the mitochondria. So you want a spike in good energy. You have parents whose energy has gone down. You have people with pressure. You have people with fertility issues. You have people with vitality, sexual vitality issues. CoQ10 is very, very important. And it will also help you alleviate things like migraines, support cognitive health, healthy vision. Yani, it will give you much more than just the overall energy and the stamina that you need, not to mention cardiovascular, eye, and eye challenges. So that, and even muscle, people with muscle challenges, you know, they need the CoQ10. Zinc. Zinc is the mineral for men. Men in the house, you need good quality zinc. I love this product. And the most important thing is it has also come to save very many people during this COVID season. Zinc will help you boost your immunity, and it actually helps destroy the effect of harmful bacterial infection or fungal infection in our bodies. And that is why it's very recommended for COVID. If you get a COVID attack and your zinc levels are at their best, you've been taking, COVID will not take you down. But to mention specifically, it's important for both men and women because of that aspect of health. For men, as you age, your prostate keeps enlarging. This is one of the products that will maintain the prostate health. So it's very good for our fathers, it's very good for our husbands, but also for women, it's also very good for us. And for our children, it is very good because over time it will improve their memory and their life, the cognitive health of our children right from when they are young. So if you have a child and they are taking Vita Squares, it has some zinc, but those who are above 12 and above, they can take this zinc. And you can see that it is good for both men and women and preventing those diseases we have seen there. Feminine herbal. Every woman goes through hormonal imbalance. Every woman. It's recommended that every woman from the age of 12, sometimes girls are getting mature at the age of 8, 10. It's important they have their feminine herbal complex. It's a complex that has been put quite a number of herbs that are specific to the women health. You can go and get to know more about the herbs that are there, the red sage, the sage John Watts. There are quite a number of them. It causes calmness. It returns back your hormonal imbalance back. If you're having challenges of the periods we talked about, the mood swings, those fluctuations, it will do the works for you. If you already have a problem, you need to take it continuously for like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to balance the damage that is already there. If you're a woman and you really don't have any tangible problem, you can do it once or twice a year. So that's a product that we need right there for our girls and for women, and to prevent early menopause or harsh menopause, because eventually we'll all go through menopause. And of course, for fertility issues, feminine herbal is very important. But remember, fertility issues, they are both for men and women, and you may not know who has a problem. So for men, we have the masculine herbal. Our grandparents took these herbs, more specifically a herb called the saw palmetto, very important for male vitality, the right way, instead of taking the blue pill called Viagra and those others. Hizo zitakimbiza damu yako, and if you have a problem, you'll have your heart stop. So we are saying men need the masculine herbal, and it is more so to maintain even the prostate gland from enlargement. Those already who have prostate enlargement, when you use masculine zinc and omega-3, it will give you a very good mileage, plus cruciferas. I'll be talking about cruciferas to reduce the swelling. We've had very many testimonies on the same. I wish you could bring a testimony. I have a friend of mine who actually had prostate enlargement and his urine was dripping and he was given a catheter, and he decided to go to the products, and eventually it got sorted out. It's been 20 years down the line right now. He's still there. So we have other challenges that I'll not talk about today, which we talk about on other areas. I missed out a product called cruciferas. I'm sorry, it's not here on the chat. Cruciferas is very important for both men and women, because as I told you, it crucifies all the oxidative challenges that we go through in our hormonal areas. So cruciferas is very, very important. It even removes any swellings. You know, most of us deep down in our bodies, we have quite a number of swellings. We may not know some, you may see them at the back of your neck. Somewhere, you may see you have a swelling somewhere. Just know that with cruciferas, you're sorted. But we are not saying that we are here to treat. We are saying that some of these products that we were given by God, because these are products we get from whole food and herbal alternatives given by God. They have their medicinal and preventive elements in them. So for me, I'll stop it at that and tell you that we've had quite a number of testimonies of people who could not conceive. Now they have conceived, they have babies, testimonies are there. we've had quite a number of challenges where someone would get a miscarriage. I had a personal friend in the bank. She had 2 miscarriages. And when she went to see a gyna, the gyna told her, go and look for Neolife's Neolife Shake. Just look for the NutriShake for Neolife. It will strengthen your womb and your uterus. And she did that. After that, she got 2 boys. And that really excites me. It's called NutriShake. And then, of course, if you have a weight problem, go through the weight management program, talk to the person who invited you, learn to understand about the program, be confident about it, take a day at a as a man or a woman, it actually helps you. So I think I'll stop there. And I'll stop there and I will welcome
Thank you, Gladys.
Fred back.
Thank you, Gladys, for that amazing session. That was great. As usual, you always do a thorough job on these issues. So friends, we are going to take some questions. If you have any burning question that you'd like to have answered, like we always say, there's a channel for channeling questions, but if you have a burning question that you'd like to be answered right now, this is your time. Remember, I said it's a health clinic, so you get to ask questions and you get to have some answers.